somebody else said they had that problem too. But I went ahead and took the opportunity to do it. So I thought it'd be cool to walk through this. And I guess I could ask: has anybody contributed to open source? Cool, that's awesome, good deal. So if you haven't, or even if you have and you already know this is part of my talk, so you're going to see it anyway. I'm just going to walk through the process of how do you actually do this. So GitHub has this cool thing where you can fork the project. So any repo, you can go out and you can fork the project, and that will then clone that repository into your own on GitHub. And so if you actually go out here to the forks for this, you can see that I've got a fork out here. And now this mock server project is actually under my account, and it shows that it was forked from mock server from Namishi, the company that originally opened this. It's now that I've got a fork of this, I can work with it any way that I want to. This is now effectively my repository that I can work in. I can branch, I can merge, I've got my own set of pull requests. Everything is unique within my fork of the repo. So I can come out here and I can do the work that I need to do, and whenever I'm ready to then go back and open a pull request, GitHub makes it really easy to do that. I've got my branch that I was working on. GitHub knows that I forked this from another repo. So yeah, that's a good question. So, and actually, you get my first, I brought goodies, I didn't mention this, I was saving it. So we love to do all kinds of little swag, and so I've got phase 2 hacky sacks for anybody that has questions, so. What's I don't adhere to the philosophy of there's no dumb questions. So pull request is when I have a branch that I'm working on. So I've taken the repository, I've got my code, I've branched it off, and I've made some changes to that. Well, if I'm going to then take my branch and merge it back into that main branch that I came off of, I open a pull request to do that. So it's a request for someone to pull my code back into the master branch, or it doesn't have to be the master, but whatever branch I'm merging back into. In this case, we're actually merging across forks. So I've got my fork here that has my branch, and I'm going to open a request for then that original, the people that originally created this, that control the original repo. I'm requesting that they pull my branch back into their repository. And so we can actually go out to look at the pull request that I opened. And so once you actually open the pull request, you can see it here. And so it's saying that I wanted to merge 8 commits into the master branch from my fork, the branch that was on my fork. So with this open now, they can come in and they can look at my code and they can decide, is this something that we want to include in the project? And the other fun thing about doing this is typically there's going to be automated builds, and there's going to be certain things that have to pass in order for this to get merged back in. And so if you actually look through, my first build failed, my second build failed, my third build failed, and then finally got a passing build. So that's a good point to read the documents of the project that you're contributing to and see what requirements there are. But that also makes it makes it easy for the maintainer. This weird guy on the internet has just given me some code. It's running through automated checks to make sure that I'm not doing something extraordinarily stupid and breaking the project. And that's it. If they want it, if they like it, they merge it in, and it's done. It's part of the main project now. And so if you go out here to this, to the README file even, this right here, that shows the usage of this that was part of my pull request, was updating the documentation on that. So that's really it. Like if you haven't contributed to open source software before, it doesn't have to be a scary thing. I mean, you got to put yourself out there a little bit, but that's really all there is to contributing to open source. So you don't have to just contribute through code. What are some other ways that you can contribute? You can just do documentation. If you've got a project that you work with, maybe it's not documented well, or maybe there's a different way of doing something that's not documented. You can open a pull request just to update the documentation. You can do it by creating or commenting on issues. If you got something, even if you don't understand the project well enough to be able to write code for it, or maybe it's in a different stack, you can still create an issue and say, hey, this isn't working right. Or if you see an issue that's already open, maybe you've got something of value to add on how to reproduce the issue, or some additional detail that might be helpful for the people that come along to then fix it. You can also do testing. You can go grab a pull request that's already out there, pull the code down, run it, see if it works, and provide your feedback on, hey, this does what it says it was going to do, or it didn't do. Or you can actually write the code for it, and that's a really cool way just to try it in a different stack. I'm not primarily a JavaScript guy. I haven't really ever done a whole lot in Node, but what the heck? You might as well try it. You can learn a little bit and give something back to the community. And some reasons for why you might want to do it is just one, to be a contributor. Just I don't know how much code I've used from other people over the years. It's cool just to be able to do just a little bit to give back. You can do it for the challenge, like I mentioned, trying to get into a new code base and get your head around it and understand how things have been implemented and how to fix a problem or implement a new feature can be a challenge, so that's interesting to do. And it can be fun, especially if it's a project that you're using in your own things that you're working on, or maybe it's a fun project. It can be fun just to do something a little different. And you can also have other motivation too. So something that's cool about our company is that if you do get a pull request accepted in an open source project, you get a bottle of whiskey. So it's a little bit of extra motivation for me to do it too. So questions on that, and I've already tipped my hat. I've got some goodies if anybody does have questions.
What's your favorite open source project?
It's my favorite open source project right now. It's a good question, but I don't know if I have a good answer to that. Well, I'll tell you, so I don't have time to tell the whole story, but Chromium that I mentioned before is open source, and it's got a really interesting bug in it when you're using it on touchscreens. And my guys over here are laughing because we affectionately call the issue sausage fingers. Because if you on our touchscreen you use your whole palm on it, Chromium will actually lock up. Like it's a bug in the browser. You can do it on even the Google homepage. Like you can take your hand and just rub it on the screen, and it will totally lock up the screen. And so we were actually really close to contributing to the Chromium project to implement a fix for that. So that's.
Give it to someone else.
I've got a whole bag under. I was given instructions by our marketing girl that I need to give out some hacky sacks. So if I come back with a full bag, I'm going to be in trouble.
What you call that toddler mode? It's a feature. It's a commitment for doing that thing.
Right?
You may have mentioned this a little bit on the page that had your pull request. What was kind of your feedback? What was the main outcome of the project for your pull request? Was it just like your code was awesome the very first time? Was there...
Yeah. So actually. Well, cool. I can't tab back over to GitHub. All right. Well, so I actually didn't. He just was like, "Okay, looks good." So it was actually really easy in this case. There wasn't a lot of feedback, which this is a small project, and so that's not necessarily. They're not going to be super picky over what you're contributing, but that's definitely a thing, especially on bigger, more complex projects. There may be a lot of comments and iterations that it goes through before you finally get something accepted. Yeah, so that's a good question. A big part of our philosophy and what we do is that the people that we look for, we don't look for someone that's necessarily an expert in C# or JavaScript or Ruby or whatever. We want developers that are excited about working with technology, that like learning new things, that like improving their skills, and so that's just part of it. The effort it takes to go out and to pick something and to get your head around a project and then to contribute. I mean, that just makes us better developers to be able to do that. And so, that's probably more important to us, is someone that likes doing that kind of thing, to taking the initiative and to want to grow their skill set and try new things, is better than someone who's already an expert at something and isn't interested in growing more. So that's just part of the motivation. It's kind of a silly thing, but it works.
You already drank your bottle?
I have not. I'm pacing myself on it, but. It's good whiskey. You can't waste it all in one go.
I think a lot of times it's helpful also to take care of the code where it's at. Like the code's in that project already. You can work it if you want, make your own UI thing and do that. But then you're just going to lose all the future changes. And like if you fix the project where it's at, not only is it fixing it for
Yeah. Yeah, and even just the process of going through a pull request, it's no different than when you're working on code internally. Like, you don't merge stuff in without having other eyes on it. And so this is an external library we're using. If we're making changes to that, it makes sense to have other eyes on it and maintain that same quality. So, anybody else? Okay, last one. Yeah. All right. So that's it. If you want to get in touch with me, follow me on Twitter. You can email me, and that's also our website too. If you want to just see more about what we do. That's it. Thanks, everybody.